It is a late-night thought that eventually catches up with everyone. If a creator dictates every movement in the universe, then who is responsible for the cruelty? If God controls everything, why is there so much suffering? Thousands of years ago, a monarch named King Janaka paced his chambers, entirely paralyzed by this exact question. He was stuck on a famous theological premise, the idea that not a single leaf moves without God's explicit permission. Janaka summoned the sage Ashtavakra in the middle of the night to ask a simple, devastating question. If God decides exactly when a leaf falls, does God also guide the hand of a criminal? This creates a logical trap. If everything is God's will, the creator becomes the direct cause of evil, a cruel tyrant. But if humans act completely independently and cause harm on their own, then God is clearly not all-powerful. Ashtavakra smiled. He told the king that getting stuck in this binary pushes most people to abandon their faith completely. But if you can actually solve it, you arrive incredibly close to absolute truth. Ashtavakra's solution relies on dual reality, operating on two levels simultaneously. First is the macro level, an unchangeable existential system governed by cosmic physics. Second is the micro level, the domain of human choice, where personal decisions and moral judgments happen. Janaka immediately challenged this. If God designed the macro system, why not build a world where humans physically lack the capacity to do bad things? Ashtavakra replied that evil is not an object. It isn't a force or a mechanism that God actively installed. It is simply the absence of awareness. Think of it like darkness. You cannot manufacture a box of darkness or build a machine that emits shadow. Darkness is just the natural state of a room when light is removed. If humans were physically blocked from doing bad things, being good would require zero effort. Goodness would become automatic, an instinct rather than a choice. Having the absolute power to deceive, to steal, or to cause harm, and making the conscious, difficult choice to abstain, is the only way goodness has any actual value. This brought Janaka to his next major hurdle. Why do innocent people suffer? The conversation shifted from the nature of evil to the raw mechanics of consequence. Ashtavakra dismantled the idea of divine punishment. Suffering is never God's wrath dropping from the sky. It is a mix of strict natural law and internal psychological consequence. Take natural law. If you put your hand in a fire, your skin will burn. That is a strict rule of physics operating in the macro reality, not a deity taking revenge on you. Then there is the internal consequence. When a person commits a crime or hurts someone else, the corrosive nature of their own anger and guilt damages them from the inside first. Janaka had one last mechanical question. If the macro system is governed by natural laws, and God already knows the final outcome, why should humans exert any effort at all? Ashtavakra drew a sharp line between omniscience and causation. Knowing what an entity's nature will lead them to choose is completely different from forcing them to make that choice. He compared human free will to sailing a boat. You have zero control over the existential circumstances, the direction of the wind or the intensity of the rain, but you have absolute control over your response, whether or not you open your sails. Human effort is the necessary engine of our micro-reality. It operates strictly within the boundaries that the macro-reality provides. The resolution sits exactly between two dangerous extremes. Believing only in destiny turns humans into lazy fatalists, fleeing responsibility. On the other side, absolute free will consumes us with ego. The middle path. Existence provides the circumstances. Human choice entirely determines the internal response. This leaves us with a starkly different view of reality. God is not a puppet master pulling strings in the sky. God is the neutral framework of reality itself. Within this framework, you don't control the events that happen to you. The ultimate measure of a life is what kind of human you choose to become when faced with those unchangeable circumstances. Spiritual awakening does not begin by forcing the universe to answer why bad things happen. It begins on the exact day you stop blaming external circumstances and start conquering your own internal darkness.